The stars looked different from up here. Captain Daniel Hayes stood near the massive viewing window of the Concordia station, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The planet seemed so small, so fragile against the darkness of space. Behind him, the sounds of alien languages filled the air. Creatures from across the galaxy moved through the corridors, some walking, some floating, some moving in ways Daniel couldn't even describe. "It's overwhelming, isn't it?" Lisa Morgan joined him at the window. She was the best engineer Earth had ever produced, and right now she looked just as nervous as Daniel felt. "I've counted 47 different species, just in this section alone." Daniel nodded. 3 months ago, the Galactic Federation had made first contact with humanity. Their ships had appeared above Earth's major cities, broadcasting messages of peace in every human language. They called themselves the Federation, a union of over 300 species that had been exploring the galaxy for 10,000 years. They came with an invitation. Earth could join them. "Captain Hayes?" A voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Kevin Ross, Earth's diplomatic advisor. The man looked excited but worried at the same time. "The Federation Council is ready for us." The 3 humans walked through corridors that seemed to shift and change colors as they moved. Daniel had learned that the station adjusted itself for different species, providing the right gravity, atmosphere, and lighting for everyone. It was technology beyond anything Earth possessed. The council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of beings sat in seats that floated in midair, arranged in circles that rose higher and higher toward the ceiling. At the center stood Chancellor Vrix, a creature that looked like a massive insect covered in shimmering blue armor. Beside him was Sayla, whose body appeared to be made entirely of purple crystal that hummed with inner light. "Welcome, humans of Earth." Vrix's voice came from a translator device that made the words sound like they were coming from everywhere at once. "We are honored to invite you into our Federation." Daniel stepped forward. "We are honored to be here, Chancellor. Earth is grateful for this opportunity." Sayla's crystal body pulsed with light as she spoke. "The Federation operates on a simple principle, Captain Hayes. All species share their knowledge freely. When you join us, you will upload all of your technology, all of your science, all of your discoveries into our central database. In return, you will have access to everything we have learned in 10,000 years of exploration." Kevin's eyes went wide. Daniel could understand why. The Federation was offering access to anti-gravity technology, faster than light communication. Medical advances that could cure every disease known to humanity and extend life by centuries. It was everything Earth had ever dreamed of. "That is a generous offer," Daniel said carefully. "May we see some examples of this shared technology?" Over the next 3 days, the Federation gave them a tour that seemed like something from a dream. They visited medical facilities where doctors from a dozen species worked together to heal injuries that would be fatal on Earth. They saw manufacturing plants that could build a starship in hours instead of years. They walked through gardens that grew food for 100 different species, all in the same space. But Lisa started noticing something strange. On the second day, while touring a Federation warship, she pulled Daniel aside. "Captain, have you noticed that all their ships look basically the same? I mean, they have some minor differences, but the core technology is identical across every vessel we've seen." Daniel frowned. "Maybe that's just efficient design?" "Maybe," Lisa said, but she didn't sound convinced. "But I've been talking to some of the engineers here. One of them, a species called the Ulenti, told me they used to have their own unique propulsion system. It was different from the Federation standard, maybe even better in some ways. But after they joined, they were required to adopt the Federation's system. Their old technology was absorbed into the database and then forgotten. That night, Kevin came to Daniel's quarters with more concerning information. "I've been having informal conversations with representatives from younger member species. They're happy to be in the Federation, don't get me wrong, but several of them mentioned feeling like they lost something when they joined. One diplomat used the word homogenized. She said her people's unique approach to problem-solving was seen as inefficient once they had access to Federation methods. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about what Lisa and Kevin had discovered. The next morning, he requested a private meeting with Chancellor Vrix. "I have a question, Chancellor," Daniel said once they were alone. "What happens if a species wants to keep some of their technology private? For cultural reasons, perhaps? Or security concerns?" Vrix's insect-like head tilted to one side. "That is not how the Federation works, Captain. All knowledge belongs to all species. It is the foundation of our success. Without complete sharing, the system fails." "But what if a species has concerns about losing control of their innovations?" "Control?" Vrix seemed confused by the concept. "Knowledge is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be shared, improved upon, and distributed for the benefit of all. Surely you understand this." Daniel thanked the Chancellor and returned to his team. That afternoon, he called an emergency meeting with Lisa and Kevin. "I need both of you to be completely honest with me," Daniel said. "Do you think joining the Federation under their current terms is good for humanity?" Lisa spoke first. "The technology they're offering could change everything for us." "But Captain, I'm worried about what we'd be giving up. Humans have always been creative, sometimes chaotic innovators. We solve problems in weird ways that other species might not understand. If we plug into the Federation system and start doing everything their way, will we lose that?" Kevin nodded. "I've been reviewing the membership agreement. There's a clause that prevents member species from withholding any technology once they join. Not for any reason. Everything becomes Federation property. Even our military systems, our security protocols, everything." Daniel stood and walked to the window of their quarters. Earth was visible below, blue and green and beautiful. "We need to go home," he said quietly. "We need to talk to our leaders before we make this decision." Chancellor Vrix was surprised when Daniel requested a recess. "No species has ever needed time to consider our offer before," the Chancellor said. "The benefits are obvious." "Perhaps they are," Daniel replied. "But humanity has learned that the most important decisions should never be rushed. We will return with our answer in 30 days. As their shuttle departed from Concordia Station, Lisa looked back at the massive structure. "Do you think we're making a mistake? Turning down everything they're offering?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He was thinking about his daughter back on Earth, about the kind of future he wanted for her. Did he want her to grow up in a galaxy where humanity had access to incredible technology, but had lost the freedom to chart their own course? "I don't know," he finally said. "But I know we need to be absolutely sure before we make this choice. Because once we join the Federation, there's no going back." The United Earth Assembly chamber was packed with people. Every seat was filled, and dozens more stood along the walls. President Helen Carter sat at the center of the curved table on the raised platform, listening as Captain Daniel Hayes finished his report about the Federation's offer. "So they want everything," said Senator Maria Gonzalez from the North American Union. "Every piece of technology, every scientific discovery, every innovation we've ever made. And in return, we get access to their database." "That's correct, Senator," Daniel replied. "The Federation calls it the Great Sharing. It's been their fundamental principle for 10,000 years. Another senator stood up. "And you're suggesting we should hesitate? They're offering us technology that could eliminate poverty, cure diseases, extend human life by centuries. What possible reason could we have to delay?" President Carter raised her hand for silence. "Captain Hayes has raised legitimate concerns about what we might be giving up. Before we make a decision that will affect all of humanity for generations to come, I want to know exactly what we're getting into." She turned to face the security section. "Lieutenant Jake Morris, I'm assigning you to lead an investigation team. I want to know everything about how the Federation actually works, not just what they tell us in their promotional materials." Jake Morris was a military intelligence officer who had spent 15 years analyzing potential threats to Earth. He was good at finding patterns, at seeing things others missed. Within hours, he had assembled a team of analysts, scientists, and programmers. Among them was Amy Chen, a software specialist who could break down complex systems and find their weaknesses. "All right, people," Jake said to his team in their secure briefing room. "We have 30 days to figure out if joining the Federation is the best thing humanity has ever done, or the biggest mistake we could make. Let's start with the basics. Amy, can you pull up everything we have on Federation member species?" Amy's fingers flew across her keyboard. "I've got records on about 230 species that have joined in the last 1,000 years. The Federation has been very generous with historical data." "Too generous, maybe?" Jake wondered aloud. "Start with species that joined recently. Let's say, within the last 200 years. I want to see their technological progression before and after joining." For 3 days, the team worked around the clock. They analyzed data, created charts, and built timelines. What they found was disturbing. Amy was the first to notice the pattern. "Jake, look at this." The Telvanni were known for their unique approach to energy generation. Before joining the Federation, their technology was advancing rapidly. They had developed something called cascade reactors that were completely different from anything else in the galaxy. "And after they joined?" Jake asked. "They stopped developing cascade reactors within 10 years. Now they use standard Federation fusion plants, just like everyone else. Their cascade reactor designs are in the Federation database, but nobody uses them anymore." Jake leaned back in his chair. "Find me more examples like that." 3. By the end of the week, they had found 17 similar cases. Species that had unique, innovative technologies before joining the Federation, only to abandon them in favor of standardized Federation systems. It was as if joining the Federation caused species to stop thinking creatively. Meanwhile, Dr. Nathan Cole was conducting his own investigation. Nathan was one of Earth's leading physicists, and he had been asked to compare human technology with Federation technology. What he discovered surprised him. "We're not as far behind as I thought," Nathan told President Carter during a private briefing. "In some areas, we're actually ahead of them." "How is that possible?" Carter asked. "They've had 10,000 years to develop their technology." "That's exactly the problem," Nathan explained. He pulled up a holographic display showing complex equations. "The Federation has amazing technology. Don't misunderstand me. But it's become stagnant. They have one standard way of doing things, and that's it. Humans, on the other hand, have dozens of different approaches to solving the same problem. We compete, we argue, we try crazy ideas that sometimes fail spectacularly, and sometimes succeed brilliantly." He changed the display to show Earth's new fusion reactor design. "This is our latest reactor. It uses a quantum containment field that adapts in real time to plasma fluctuations. I've reviewed Federation fusion technology, and they don't have anything like it. Their systems are more powerful than ours, yes, but they're also rigid and inflexible. Our design is still in early stages, but the approach is fundamentally different." Carter studied the display. "If we join the Federation and share this technology, what happens? It goes into their database, where it will probably be analyzed, categorized, and then either adopted as the new standard or dismissed as inefficient compared to existing systems. Either way, the unique human approach that created it might be lost." Back in the Intelligence Center, Jake had made another discovery. "Amy, I need you to look at this membership agreement again. Specifically, Section 7, Paragraph 12. Amy pulled up the document. "Okay, I see it. It says that member species agree to share all technological knowledge without restriction, including but not limited to civilian, military, industrial, and cultural innovations." "Read the next part," Jake said. "Member species acknowledge that once technology is uploaded to the Federation database, it becomes the collective property of all member species and cannot be withdrawn, restricted, or controlled by the originating species." Amy's eyes widened. That means once we join, we can never take it back. Even if we change our minds later. Exactly, Jake said. And it gets worse. Look at Section 15. Amy scrolled down. Member species agree not to develop or maintain parallel technological systems that compete with or diverge from Federation standard practices. She looked up at Jake. They're not just asking us to share our technology. They're asking us to stop innovating in our own way. Jake picked up his phone and called President Carter. Madam President, you need to see this. 2 hours later, Carter was reviewing the findings with her full cabinet. Lisa Morgan, who had been invited to attend, added her own observations. I spent 3 days on Federation ships. Their technology is impressive, but it's also monotonous. Every ship uses the same systems. Every station follows the same design principles. It's efficient, but there's no diversity, no experimentation. The Secretary of Defense spoke up. What about our military technology? Our quantum encryption? Our new missile defense systems? Our stealth technology? All of it would have to be shared, Jake confirmed. There are no exceptions in the agreement. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Humanity had spent decades developing security systems to protect Earth. If all of that technology became available to 300 different species, many of whom humanity had never met, the security implications were enormous. President Carter stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. Captain Hayes was right to be cautious. This isn't just about gaining access to advanced technology. This is about fundamentally changing what it means to be human. She turned back to face the room. I want proposals for alternative arrangements. If we can't join the Federation under their standard terms, what can we propose instead? Dr. Nathan Cole raised his hand. What if we offer selective sharing? We provide medical and agricultural technology freely, things that can help other species without compromising our security. But we maintain control over military technology and certain industrial processes. The Federation has never accepted partial membership before, Lisa pointed out. Then maybe it's time they started, Carter said firmly. We're not saying no to the Federation. We're saying no to their terms. There's a difference. Over the next 2 weeks, Earth's best legal minds, scientists, and diplomats worked together to craft an alternative proposal. They called it the Sovereign Technology Compact. Under this framework, Earth would engage in voluntary technology exchanges with the Federation, sharing innovations that both parties agreed upon. Humanity would provide medical advances freely, but would retain control over military and sensitive industrial technology. Most importantly, Earth would maintain the right to develop technology independently, without being required to adopt Federation standards. On the final day before Daniel was scheduled to return to Concordia Station, President Carter met with him privately. This is going to surprise them, Daniel. No species has ever challenged the Federation's system before. Daniel nodded. I know, Madam President. But if we don't stand up for our right to remain independent, who will? Are you prepared for them to say no? They might refuse any kind of relationship with us if we won't accept their standard terms. Daniel thought about his daughter again, about the kind of galaxy he wanted her to inherit. Then we'll face that future on our own terms. But I don't think it will come to that. I think there are other species in the Federation who have been waiting for someone to challenge the system. We might be surprised by who supports us. President Carter smiled. Then go surprise them, Captain. Show them that humanity doesn't just accept the status quo. We question it, we challenge it, and we improve it. The council chamber fell silent as Daniel Hayes stepped forward. 300 species, represented by delegates from across the galaxy, watched the human with curious eyes. Some had eyes. Others had sensory organs Daniel couldn't even name. But all of them were focused on him. Chancellor Vrix's insect-like body shifted in his floating seat. Captain Hayes, humanity has had 30 days to consider our offer. We trust you bring us good news. When will Earth begin uploading its technology to the Federation database? Daniel took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy for centuries to come. Chancellor. Honored delegates. Earth has indeed reached a decision. We are grateful for the Federation's generous offer and the opportunity to join such a distinguished community of species. Vrix's translator picked up what might have been a pleased tone. Excellent. Then we shall begin the integration process immediately. However, Daniel continued, and the word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Earth cannot accept the Federation's standard membership terms. The chamber erupted. Hundreds of delegates began speaking at once in languages that sounded like music, like grinding stone, like wind through trees. The translator system struggled to keep up, creating a cacophony of confused voices. Order! Vrix commanded, and slowly the noise died down. Captain Hayes, I do not understand. Are you saying humanity wishes to decline membership in the Federation? No, Chancellor. We wish to propose alternative terms for membership. A delegate that looked like a floating jellyfish pulsed with bright colors. Alternative terms. There are no alternative terms. The Great Sharing is fundamental to the Federation. All species share all technology. This is how it has always been. Daniel nodded to Kevin Ross, who activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Earth proposes what we call the Sovereign Technology Compact. We will engage in voluntary technology exchanges with the Federation. We will share medical and agricultural advances freely, as these directly improve life for all species. However, we will retain sovereign control over military technology and certain sensitive industrial processes. The crystalline diplomat Sayla's body flashed with angry red light. This is unacceptable. You cannot pick and choose what to share. The system requires complete transparency. Why? Lisa Morgan stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. With respect, Ambassador Sayla, who decided that complete transparency was the only way? The Federation is 10,000 years old, but surely in that time, some species must have had concerns about sharing everything? An elderly delegate from a species called the Korthan spoke up. His voice was deep and rumbling. Young human. Many species have had concerns, but we all recognized that the benefits of membership outweighed our worries. We trusted the Federation, and we have prospered. Kevin activated another display, showing the analysis his team had prepared. Have you prospered? Or have you stagnated? Our research shows that species joining the Federation tend to abandon their unique technological approaches within a generation. Innovation slows. Everything becomes standardized. Standardization is efficiency, Vrix stated firmly. Why maintain hundreds of different solutions to the same problem when we can find the best solution and share it with everyone? Daniel smiled slightly. Because maybe there isn't one best solution, Chancellor. Maybe the Telvanni Cascade reactors were better for certain applications than Federation fusion plants. Maybe the Korthan biological computers had advantages that silicon-based systems don't, but we'll never know. Because once those species joined the Federation, they stopped developing their unique technologies. A murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates looked thoughtful. A delegate from a species Daniel had never seen before stood up. She looked vaguely reptilian, covered in shimmering green scales. I am Commander Sira of the Kelhari. The human makes an interesting point. My people have often felt that our combat doctrines were superior to Federation standards. But we were required to abandon them upon joining. The Federation's military systems are proven effective across hundreds of conflicts, Vrix countered. Your systems were untested. They were untested because you never gave us the chance to prove them. Sira replied quietly, then sat back down. Sayla's crystalline form hummed with agitation. This is exactly why we require full sharing. If species keep secrets from each other, how can we trust one another? The human proposal would create divisions, hierarchies of knowledge, Some species would have advantages over others. Some species already have advantages, Lisa pointed out. The Federation has members who joined 10,000 years ago, and members who joined last year. The older members have had millennia to benefit from shared technology. Is that not already a hierarchy? Kevin brought up another display. Furthermore, the Federation's current system has created technological dependency. Many newer member species cannot maintain or repair their own systems without constant Federation support. They've lost the knowledge of how to innovate independently. Is that really beneficial? A small, furry delegate spoke up in a squeaky voice. The human speaks truly. My people, the Visin, no longer remember how to build the soil regeneration systems our ancestors created. We use Federation agricultural systems now, which work well. But if something goes wrong, we must call Federation technicians. We cannot fix it ourselves. Vrix's voice took on a harder edge. This discussion is pointless. The great sharing is non-negotiable. If humanity cannot accept this, then humanity cannot join the Federation. Then we won't join, Daniel said simply. Not under those terms. The chamber fell completely silent. No species had ever refused Federation membership before. You would turn down everything we offer? Selah asked, her crystalline body flickering with disbelief. Medical technology that could save billions of human lives? Transportation systems that would revolutionize your civilization? You would condemn your own people to preventable suffering because of pride? It's not pride, Daniel replied. It's principle. Humanity believes that technological diversity makes the galaxy stronger, not weaker. We believe each species has unique perspectives and approaches that should be preserved, not homogenized. And yes, we believe that sometimes keeping certain technologies private is necessary for security and cultural reasons. Kevin stepped forward. We're not asking to change the Federation entirely. Species who want full membership under current terms should absolutely have that option. We're simply asking for an alternative path. Let some species maintain technological sovereignty while still participating in the galactic community. You want special treatment? Another delegate accused. No, Lisa said. We want the right to be different. And we suspect we're not the only ones who feel this way. As if on cue, Commander Sira of the Kelhari stood again. The Kelhari would be interested in discussing this sovereign technology compact. My people have long felt constrained by Federation requirements. Vrix turned sharply to face her. Commander, the Kelhari are full Federation members. You cannot simply change your status. Perhaps not, Sira said carefully. But we can discuss alternatives for the future. Can we not? The humans raise valid concerns. Another delegate stood, then another. Within minutes, a dozen species were voicing support for at least discussing humanity's proposal. They were mostly younger member species, ones who had joined within the last few centuries. Vrix raised his arms for silence. This matter requires serious consideration. We will recess for one standard galactic month. The Council will study the human proposal and vote on whether to even consider such alternative arrangements. He turned to Daniel. Captain Hayes, I warn you, if the Council rejects your proposal, you will have isolated Earth from the galactic community. You will have access to none of our technology, none of our trade networks, none of our protection. Are you willing to risk that? Daniel met the Chancellor's multifaceted gaze without flinching. Chancellor, humanity has survived for hundreds of thousands of years by taking risks, by refusing to accept that there's only one way to do things. We'll survive this too, but we hope it won't come to that. We hope the Federation is wise enough to recognize that diversity of thought and approach makes any community stronger. We see, into the 40, as the council session ended and delegates filed out, several approached Daniel and his team quietly. A few wanted to know more about the Sovereign Technology Compact. Others simply nodded with what might have been respect. Commander Sira walked past them slowly, her tail swishing. Without looking directly at the humans, she murmured, "You have started something interesting, Captain Hayes. I hope you know what you are doing." Daniel watched her go, then turned to Lisa and Kevin. "Did we just make the biggest diplomatic blunder in human history?" Kevin smiled slightly. "Either that, or we just changed the galaxy. I guess we'll find out in a month." Lisa looked around at the massive chamber, at the empty floating seats where 300 species had been sitting moments ago. "Whatever happens, we stood up for what we believed in. That's gotta count for something." Daniel nodded slowly. "Let's hope it counts for enough." The news of humanity's refusal spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within days, every Federation world knew that a new species had done the unthinkable. They had said no. On Earth, the response was mixed. Some celebrated humanity's bold stance. Others worried that Earth had just made a terrible mistake. Protests erupted outside government buildings, with some people demanding that President Carter reconsider, while others held signs supporting Earth's independence. Daniel Hayes sat in his office at the United Earth Diplomatic Complex, reading through reports from across the galaxy. Some were encouraging. 3 species had formally requested more information about the Sovereign Technology Compact. Others were less positive. A Federation trade consortium had already announced they would not do business with Earth until the membership situation was resolved. A knock on his door interrupted his reading. "Come in." Commander Sira of the Kelhari entered, her green scales catching the light. She moved with a fluid grace that reminded Daniel of a cat. "Captain Hayes, I apologize for the intrusion. I hoped we might speak privately." "Of course. Commander, please, sit." Sira settled into a chair, her tail curling around her feet. "I must be careful with what I say. The Kelhari are loyal Federation members, and I speak only for myself, not my government. But I wanted you to know that many of my people watched your speech to the Council with great interest. I appreciate that, Commander. You should also know that you have made enemies," Sira continued, her voice dropping lower. "There are factions within the Federation who do not appreciate your challenge to the system. They profit greatly from the current arrangement." Daniel leaned forward. "What kind of factions?" "They call themselves the Concordants. They are not an official Federation body, but they are powerful. They control much of the technology distribution network. When a species needs Federation technology, they often go through Concordance-affiliated companies. These companies charge fees, provide support contracts, create dependencies. Your proposal threatens that entire business model. I didn't realize the Federation had such commercial interests." Sira's eyes narrowed. "The Federation is old, Captain. Old institutions develop complexity. Not all of it is visible to newcomers. Wying to RZ. Krybrand. Wying to RZ." After Sira left, Daniel immediately contacted Jake Morris. "Lieutenant, I need you to investigate something called the Concordance. I want to know who they are, what they control, and what they might do to protect their interests." Jake got to work immediately. Within hours, Amy Chen had pulled up hundreds of references to the Concordance in Federation commercial databases. "It's not one organization," Amy explained to Jake. "It's a network of companies, trading houses, and technology brokers spread across dozens of species. But they all seem to coordinate their activities. Show me their financial connections." Amy brought up a complex web of transactions. "They're deeply embedded in the Federation economy. Almost every major technology transfer goes through at least one Concordance-affiliated company. The fees are small, usually just a few %, but across the entire Federation economy, we're talking about enormous sums." Jake studied the display, his military training kicking in. If humanity's proposal gains traction, these companies lose their entire business model. Species could trade technology directly with each other. No middlemen, no fees. "Exactly," Amy said. "And that makes them dangerous." She was right. 3 days later, Amy detected something disturbing. "Jake, someone's trying to hack our systems. It's sophisticated. They're using Federation relay networks to hide their origin, but the attack signatures match known concordance cybersecurity firms. What are they after? Our technology databases, specifically, our military and industrial files. Everything we said we'd keep private. Jake immediately locked down Earth's networks and reported the attack to President Carter. Madam President, someone in the Federation is trying to steal the exact technology we refuse to share. Carter's face darkened. Can you trace it back to the source? We're working on it, but they're very good at covering their tracks. On Earth, Dr. Nathan Cole wasn't waiting for the Federation's decision. He had assembled a team of scientists and engineers to develop new technologies specifically designed to protect humanity's independence. If we're going to maintain technological sovereignty, Nathan told his team, we need systems that can't be easily copied or stolen. His team's first breakthrough was a quantum encryption system that was theoretically unbreakable by current Federation technology. The system used a form of quantum entanglement that made any attempt to intercept or copy data immediately detectable. Nathan called it the Sentinel Protocol. The beauty of this system, Nathan explained to President Carter during a demonstration, is that it's not just secure against current Federation technology. The underlying principles are fundamentally different from their approach. Even if they understand how it works, they'd need to completely rethink their own encryption methods to crack it. However, underlying principles, Carter watched as Nathan demonstrated the system. This is exactly what we need. But, Nathan, doesn't this prove Vrix's point? We're keeping secrets, creating barriers between species. With respect, Madam President, we're protecting ourselves. There's a difference between freely sharing knowledge among friends and being forced to give up everything to strangers. Once we know who we can trust, we can choose what to share. The situation escalated when Lisa Morgan discovered something troubling during a review of Federation ship designs. She had been studying the technical specifications that the Federation had provided during the initial tour. Something had been bothering her about the weapons systems. Captain Hayes, Lisa said during an emergency meeting, the Federation's standard weapons are terrifying. They're far more powerful than anything Earth has. But that's not what worries me. What does worry you? These weapons aren't defensive. They're designed for overwhelming force against technologically inferior opponents. The Federation claims they're peaceful, but their military doctrine is built around being able to crush any single species that challenges them. Quote, Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. You think they might use force against Earth if we don't comply? I think it's a possibility we need to prepare for. President Carter immediately convened the Security Council. We need to accelerate our defensive preparations. I want our new quantum systems deployed around Earth as soon as possible. And I want contingency plans for a potential Federation blockade or even military action. But the threat came from a different direction. Daniel was leaving a diplomatic dinner with several non-Federation species when three figures emerged from the shadows. They moved with professional efficiency, weapons drawn. Captain Hayes, you need to come with us, one of them said. The universal translator made the voice sound flat and emotionless. Before Daniel could react, Lisa Morgan tackled him from the side, pulling him behind a concrete planter. Energy blasts scorched the spot where he had been standing moments before. Security forces arrived within seconds, and the attackers fled. But the message was clear. Someone wanted Daniel Hayes silenced. Jake Morris examined the weapons left behind by the attackers. These are Federation military issue. Not standard equipment, but available on the black market if you have the right connections and enough money. The concordance? Daniel suggested. That would be my guess. We can't prove it, but who else has both the motive and resources? The assassination attempt made headlines across Earth and throughout the Federation. Many species expressed outrage that violence had been used against the human diplomat. Even some of the more conservative Federation members condemned the attack. But the attempt also revealed something else. Commander Sira contacted Daniel again. This time, with 3 other species representatives. There was a delegate from the Nesori, an aquatic species who communicated through color changes in their translucent skin. The other was from the Tigrans, beings whose bodies seemed to be made of living silicon. "Captain Hayes," Sierra said, "the attack on you was a mistake by whoever ordered it. It has shown many of us that something is very wrong in the Federation. Species who simply want to discuss alternative membership terms should not be threatened with violence." The Nasori delegate's skin flashed patterns of blue and green. The translator rendered it as words. "The Nasori have discussed your proposal extensively. We believe we would also prefer to maintain more control over our technology. Our unique understanding of fluid dynamics has always been undervalued by Federation standards." The Tigran's voice sounded like stones grinding together. "The Tigrans have similar concerns. Our silicon-based technology is fundamentally different from carbon-based Federation systems. We feel we have lost much by adopting their standards." Daniel looked at the three of them. "Are you saying you would support the Sovereign Technology Compact?" "More than support," Sierra said. "We wish to formally propose it alongside humanity when the Council reconvenes. 4 species, representing different types of technology and perspectives. Together, we can make a stronger case." Kevin Ross, who had been quietly taking notes, spoke up. "This changes everything. If it's not just humanity asking for alternatives, but multiple species with different needs and concerns, the Council will have to take it seriously." Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel met secretly with representatives from the Kelhari, Nasori, and Tigran governments. They refined the Sovereign Technology Compact proposal, adding provisions that addressed each species' specific concerns. Amy Chen worked with their technology experts to develop shared security protocols that would protect all their sensitive innovations. Jake Morris continued tracking the hacking attempts. "They're getting more aggressive," he told President Carter. "But they're also getting sloppy. We've traced several attacks back to companies that are definitely Concordance affiliated. We have evidence now." Carter smiled grimly. "Then we'll present that evidence to the Council. Let's see how they react when they learn that someone in their precious Federation tried to steal from us and then attempted to murder our diplomat." As the month drew to a close, Daniel felt cautiously optimistic. What had started as humanity's lone stance had become a small movement. 4 species, each with different reasons and different needs, but all united by the belief that technological diversity was worth preserving. The night before the Council was set to reconvene, Daniel stood again at the window of his quarters, looking down at Earth. Lisa and Kevin joined him. "Tomorrow we find out if we changed the galaxy or just made ourselves outcasts," Kevin said quietly. "Whatever happens," Lisa added, "we stood up for what we believed in." Daniel nodded. "And we found others who believed it too. That has to count for something." The Council chamber felt different this time. The air seemed charged with tension as delegates filed in and took their floating seats. Daniel Hayes stood with Commander Sierra, the Nasori delegate whose skin currently showed a nervous pattern of yellow and orange, and the Tigran representative whose silicon body reflected the chamber's lights like a prism. Chancellor Vrix called the session to order, his insect-like form rigid with what Daniel had learned to recognize as displeasure. "We reconvene to address humanity's unprecedented proposal. The Council has spent a month reviewing the Sovereign Technology Compact. Before we vote, I must ask Captain Hayes, does humanity still insist on these terms?" Daniel stepped forward. "Chancellor, honored delegates, we do. But we also wish to acknowledge that we are no longer alone in this request." Commander Sierra moved to stand beside Daniel. The Kelhari formally request consideration of alternative membership terms similar to those proposed by humanity. The Nasori delegate's skin flashed bright blue. "As do the Nasori." The Tigran's grinding voice echoed through the chamber. "The Tigrans as well." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the chamber. This was not what the Council had expected. Vrix's translator made a sound that might have been a sigh. "So, humanity's challenge has spread. 4 species now wish to fundamentally change how the Federation operates." "Not change the Federation, Chancellor," Daniel corrected gently. We propose an alternative tier of membership. Species who wish full technological integration can continue under existing terms. We simply ask for an option that allows others to participate in the galactic community while maintaining control over sensitive technologies. A delegate from one of the oldest Federation species stood. His name was Elder Tarn, and his species had been members for over 8,000 years. I have lived a long time and seen many changes in the Federation. But this is the first time I have witnessed such organized resistance to our fundamental principles. Perhaps it is time we ask ourselves why. Selah, the crystalline diplomat, flashed angry red. Elder Tarn, surely you cannot support this division of knowledge. The great sharing has served us well for millennia. Has it? Tarn replied quietly. Or has it simply served us adequately? There is a difference. Daniel nodded to Kevin Ross, who activated the presentation they had prepared. Images and data filled the holographic displays throughout the chamber. We have evidence that someone within the Federation attempted to hack Earth's technology databases, Kevin announced. The attacks were sophisticated and used Federation relay networks. We traced them to companies affiliated with an organization called the Concordance. The chamber erupted in noise. Several delegates looked genuinely shocked. Others appeared uncomfortable, as if they knew more than they wanted to admit. Kevin continued, his voice cutting through the chaos. Furthermore, there was an assassination attempt on Captain Hayes. The weapons used were Federation military issue. While we cannot prove who ordered the attack, we find it suspicious that it occurred shortly after Earth refused to share our technology. Jake Morris stepped forward, displaying additional evidence. The Concordance is a network of technology brokers and distribution companies. They profit from the current system by acting as intermediaries for technology sharing. The Sovereign Technology Compact would allow species to trade directly, eliminating the need for such middlemen. Vrix's voice boomed through his translator. These are serious accusations. If true, those responsible will be prosecuted to the full extent of Federation law. We appreciate that, Chancellor, Daniel said. But this situation highlights exactly why some species might want to maintain control over their technology. When sharing everything is mandatory, there's no way to protect yourself from bad actors within the system. A small delegate who had been silent until now stood up. Daniel recognized her as the representative who had spoken about losing her people's soil regeneration technology. I have a question for Captain Hayes. If the Sovereign Technology Compact is approved, would you share any technology at all, or would you keep everything secret? It was a fair question, and Daniel had prepared for it. Earth has already committed to sharing medical and agricultural technologies freely. In fact, we have prepared a gift for the Council. He gestured to Lisa Morgan. Lisa activated another display. This is the design for a new water purification system. It's based on technology Earth developed for desert regions. It can extract and purify water from almost any source using minimal energy. We offer this design to all Federation species, with no restrictions. The chamber fell silent. Several delegates leaned forward to study the display more carefully. Why would you share this freely? Asked a delegate, whose species came from a water-scarce world. Because it's the right thing to do, Lisa said simply. This technology can save lives and improve quality of life across the galaxy. We don't want to hoard knowledge that can help others. We just want the right to decide what we share and when. President Helen Carter's holographic form appeared in the center of the chamber. The Council had granted her permission to address them directly. Honored members of the Federation, Earth does not seek to divide your community. We seek to join it in a way that preserves what makes each species unique. For 10,000 years, the Federation has followed one path. We propose that perhaps it is time to create another path alongside the first. Carter's image swept across the chamber, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. The universe is vast and full of mysteries we have yet to solve. Perhaps those mysteries require different approaches, different perspectives, different ways of thinking. By homogenizing all technology into one standard system, you may be limiting the very diversity that could lead to breakthrough discoveries. She paused, letting her words sink in. Earth has experienced its greatest innovations when different cultures, different philosophies, different approaches competed and collaborated. Yes, it was sometimes chaotic. Yes, it led to conflicts. But it also led to progress in ways that no single, unified approach could achieve. Elder Tarn stood again. The human president makes a valid point. I have often wondered if our technological advancement has slowed precisely because we no longer have the creative friction that different approaches provide. More delegates began speaking up. Some argued against the proposal, warning of divisions and security risks. Others supported it, sharing their own frustrations with the current system. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Vrix called for order once more. The question before the Council is whether to approve the creation of an alternative membership tier based on the Sovereign Technology Compact. Those in favor? Daniel held his breath as the voting system activated. Each delegate's decision appeared as a colored light in the chamber. Green for yes. Red for no. Yellow for abstention. The counting seemed to take forever. Daniel watched as the lights appeared one by one throughout the chamber. Green. Red. Green. Green. Red. Yellow. The pattern continued until all 300 votes were cast. The final tally appeared on the main display. 147 in favor. 131 against. 22 abstentions. It had passed. Barely. But it had passed. The chamber erupted in noise again. But this time, it was different. There was excitement mixed with the concern. Change was coming to the Federation, whether everyone liked it or not. Vrix raised his arms for silence. The Council has spoken. The Sovereign Technology Compact is approved as an alternative membership tier. Species may choose between full technological integration or sovereign membership. However, this decision comes with conditions. He turned to face Daniel directly. Sovereign members will not have automatic access to all Federation technology. They will need to negotiate individual exchanges. They will not be eligible for certain Federation security guarantees that depend on technological integration, and they will be required to share at least 30% of their innovations with the General Federation database focused on humanitarian applications. Daniel nodded. Earth accepts those conditions, Chancellor, as do the Kelhari, Sira added. The Nasori and Tigran representatives also agreed. Vrix's tone softened slightly. Then welcome to the Federation. Under your own terms, may your choice prove wise. 6 months passed. Earth established diplomatic embassies on 17 Federation worlds and welcomed ambassadors from 43 species. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges initiated, and technological partnerships negotiated on a case-by-case basis. The Kelhari, Nasori, and Tigrans formed an informal alliance with humanity, calling themselves the Sovereign Alliance. Together, they worked to preserve technological diversity while still participating in the broader galactic community. Dr. Nathan Cole's team achieved a major breakthrough in fusion technology. The new reactor design was 30% more efficient than previous models and used the same quantum principles as the Sentinel Protocol security system. Earth shared the basic principles with the Sovereign Alliance members and offered to trade detailed specifications to other interested species in exchange for technologies that could benefit humanity. The Concordance network began to crumble as species realized they could negotiate technology exchanges directly. Several Concordance executives were prosecuted for the hacking attempts and the assassination plot against Daniel. The Federation implemented new regulations to prevent such corruption in the future. Not everything was perfect. Some Federation species refused to trade with sovereign members, viewing them as selfish for not sharing everything. There were tensions and disagreements, but there was also new energy in the Federation, a sense that change was possible. that the old ways were not the only ways. Admiral Daniel Hayes stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned vessel Independence. The ship was a joint project between Earth, Kelhar, Nesso, and Tigran engineers, combining technologies and approaches from all 4 species. It was unlike any ship in the galaxy, a symbol of what could be achieved when different perspectives worked together while maintaining their unique identities. Lisa Morgan joined him at the window. She had been promoted to Chief Technology Officer of the Sovereign Alliance. Quite a view, isn't it? Oh, it is, Daniel agreed. 6 months ago, I was worried we'd made the biggest mistake in human history. Now look at us. We took a risk, Lisa said. We challenged the way things had always been done, and it worked out. Not perfectly, but well enough. Kevin Ross, now Earth's permanent ambassador to the Federation, walked up to join them. The Varelian Assembly just requested information about joining as sovereign members. That makes 12 species who have expressed interest in the alternative membership tier since we established it. Daniel smiled. The galaxy is changing. One species at a time. Do you think the Federation will survive these changes? Lisa asked. We've challenged their fundamental structure. I think the Federation is stronger than we give it credit for, Daniel replied. Institutions that can adapt survive. Those that can't eventually fail. The Federation is adapting, even if some of its members don't like it. Below them, Earth rotated peacefully, blue and green and beautiful. Humanity had taken its place in the galactic community. Not by accepting the status quo, but by challenging it. Not by giving up their identity, but by preserving it while still reaching out to others. Commander Sierra's voice came over the communication system. All crew members, prepare for departure. The Independence is ready for its maiden voyage. Daniel looked at Lisa and Kevin. Ready to see what else is out there? Always, Kevin said. Let's go find out, Lisa added. As the Independence departed from Earth orbit, heading toward uncharted regions of space with a crew representing 4 different species and dozens of unique perspectives, Daniel reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had surprised the Federation Council by refusing to share their technology, but in doing so, they had sparked a revolution in how the galaxy thought about knowledge, cooperation, and innovation. Sometimes the most important thing you could say was no. Not because you wanted to be difficult, but because you believed there was a better way. And sometimes, if you were brave enough to stand up for that belief, others would stand with you. The galaxy was vast and full of possibilities. And now, humanity and its allies were free to explore those possibilities on their own terms, as equal partners in a diverse and dynamic community of worlds. It was exactly the kind of future worth fighting for.